Oh no, Irene, we have too many seeds.
Whatever shall we do?
Give them away.
It does feel like that sometimes.
Hey friends, you're watching BrainStormAcres. I'm a very overwhelmed Henry.
I'm a much less overwhelmed Irene.
Today we're going to talk about what happens when you have a lot of seeds that you're not sure about, that you don't know what to do, you don't know where to start.
It's really not that bad. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. We've had a couple people say lately to us that they felt like they were under a tidal wave of seeds. And
Well, we actually are. We have a tidal wave of seeds.
no, I sorted them this past weekend. Anyway, so most of them. First thing I would do is I would sort my flowers from my veggies. Just literally take 2 boxes, something like this. This is the top of the office paper box, you know.
We have a couple of these, so they're easy.
Yeah, but any kind of a box where you're not going to be dealing with flaps or getting in the way or something like that. A shoe box, anything. Just, you know, and sort them out, literally, just seeds. I did it in 3 ways. I had one for veggies, one for flowers, and another that was obviously trash.
Trash?
Trash.
What did we have that was trash?
Actually, we didn't have anything in this batch that was trash. No, I take that back. There were 1 or 2 seeds that were so old that I'm like, nah. Now, I will try and find, I have a chart somewhere that talks about how long seeds are good for. Some seeds, assuming, and this is always the assumption, you didn't store them in the sun on the windowsill, wet, and all that other kind of stuff. If they've been stored properly, if they've been stored in a dark location, as stable an environment as you can provide for them, they're good for years. If your seeds are pelleted, they have a shorter life expectancy.
Now, pelleted just means that it has a clay coating around the seed itself. And the problem with pelleted seeds is that clay coating can absorb moisture and it can lose moisture. And it otherwise can cause other problems with the seeds. That's the theory anyway.
Right. Well, the basic process of pelleting the seed subjects it to environmental stresses, and therefore it will tend to have a slightly lower germination rate than maybe an unpelleted seed. However, I have had really, I store my seeds properly, and I'm having great luck with seeds that I was told should not germinate at all.
Yeah, so we've managed to germinate Salanova, and did we have some carrots that were pelleted?
Yes, I have some old carrots that were pelleted. I've had some, almost everything at some point. I didn't necessarily choose to buy pelleted seeds. There are times when it was the only seed I could get in the particular variety I wanted. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to argue. You know, there are some seeds that only come in pelleted. I think Salanova is one of them.
Salanova is one of them. Salanova is a really particularly well-controlled seed by the grower. The grower, I think, is in the Netherlands. They license Johnny's and a few other people to sell the seeds. And I think Johnny's is the only company
in North America.
That
can sell Salanova, yeah. It's a patented set of seeds.
Great seed.
They're extremely amazing.
It makes a fabulous, fabulous plant.
Right. And it's all different kinds of lettuce. All different kinds. And it was designed for commercial growers. It is non-GMO. Nothing weird about it. It's not one of those things like the soybeans that you can spray with Roundup and they don't even hiccup. It's just a well thought out, well grown plant. But you need to be aware whether you have pellets or not. To start with, I would literally just do a quick sort. I would pull my flowers, I would pull my veggies, and I would throw something. I'd have a garbage can. And
that's actually how she did it. She literally had a garbage can, and unceremoniously she deposited the seeds that were too old or
just trash. I mean, just nothing I would even want to encourage anyone to ever grow. when I started doing the individual sorts, so say this is my veggies at this point, I did have a trash bin, but it was farther away. I have another bucket. In fact, here it is right here. And it's just a, bought it in the mail type package. And it's got a whole stack of seeds in it from an assortment of different companies. There's Haas seeds, there's Burpee, there's Johnny's, there's probably somebody else in here. I will probably throw this one away because I wouldn't suggest anyone grow that. But some of these were donated, some of them are, totally tomatoes. There's all kinds of stuff in here. But what these seeds were, this was a much farther down the road sort. But I still had that box ready in case I found something that was obviously going to go in there in the long run anyway. Now, what kind of things would I put in here? Okay, every seed that's in here is going to go to our local seed bank. We've been thinking about this. Someone had suggested we create a seed bank at the garden club.
It's also called a seed library.
Seed library, call it what you want. It's a giveaway. Anybody who's there can come in and pick up seeds. Now, I am going to encourage people, if they are picking up, I'll make sure that these are number 3 coin envelopes, purchasable from office supply stores in packages of usually 500. And I have a pack of 500. What I like about them is I could take, say for instance here, this is totally tomatoes, red pear tomatoes. We are not going to grow these anymore. They are a very good tomato. My husband does not care for them particularly. They are very prolific. These seeds are still viable, and there's probably 30 seeds in there. I really don't want somebody to be a piggy and take all 30 of these.
Yeah, would suggest maybe 5 or 6 for most home gardeners.
So what I'm going to encourage people to do is take one of these, write the variety on it and the basic information and where it came from so that they can go to the internet and pull all the other information that they might need about this, and take, just like Henry says, a half dozen seeds. This is a pile of tomatoes. There's some here from Haas, there's some here from Totally Tomatoes. I think I have some others in here from other companies. These are all good tomato seeds. They're all delicious tomatoes. And we found tomatoes that we like better.
Yeah. Let me take a look at these. Now, when you're sorting through these vegetable seeds, I think that we've already mentioned that you go through and sort them out into the vegetables and flowers.
Once I got my veggies sorted from my flowers, I would focus on the vegetables first because, to be honest, although flowers are awesome, their nutritional value is limited. There are some that we do eat, but the main focus is our veggies. I would sort them by what they are. Tomatoes, peppers, lettuce, all those kind of things. And then once you've got that sort, and literally clear a table somewhere. If you don't have dogs or children or cats, you could do the floor. But you need a surface where you can actually lay the stuff out, see what you have, and then, okay, say I'm going through this little pile of tomatoes here.
We have a pile right there.
Right here.
I'll put these on the floor and we can spread those out on the table.
Okay, I've got Totally Tomatoes, and I know we have more tomatoes in there besides these.
These are all great tomatoes.
Yes.
They taste perfectly fine. Some of them may not yield the way we want. They may not have some of the characteristics we're looking for, but one of the things we're doing is we're limiting the number of varieties of tomatoes that we're growing this year to a smaller number.
The last couple of years, we have tried a ton of new tomatoes. We had also continued to grow our regular tomatoes that we really knew we liked already, so that we could compare them in terms of yield. So let's see, Inca, Ravello are both paste type tomatoes. The Ravello is a San Marzano style. Inca is more of a Roma style. These are super delicious. But when I compared those to the Invincibles that I got from Haas, Granaderos, they didn't compare. They just didn't compare. I mean, the flavor was pretty close to identical, but the yield from the ones we're choosing to stick with is twice what these guys are. So if I'm putting in the same amount of water, the same amount of space, and all that kind of stuff, the something that gives me twice, literally, as much as another variety is going to get my vote every time.
Now, if you can, you want to look to see when the seeds were packed. For example, both of these varieties were packed for 2017. So that's 5 years ago. Would we throw those away?
No.
The reason being is that tomatoes, generally speaking, have a relatively long, stable shelf life.
If they've been stored correctly, which I know these have been.
So you can still grow them. It's not the end of the world. You don't have to throw them away because they're too old. It isn't like moldy fish.
Right. Ugh.
Yeah, let's see. So far, we took a big pile of seeds.
We sorted them.
We have a table. We sort them into
Veggies?
vegetables and flowers and the round bin.
The round bin. Yes, the round bin. That's the trash pile. Once I'm to the state of having them by type, then I'm going to look at them objectively in terms of what are they doing for me. Neither of us particularly care for yellow pear tomatoes.
They're okay, but they're just okay.
I want to say this was a gift. So just as Comstock was a gift. And I'm sure that I have some other tomatoes from Totally Tomatoes that were also gifts.
So we have, let's see, we have 6 tomato types here, 7 tomato types here. They are indeterminate and determinate. There's a mixture of them. That's more than a lot of people, especially if they're just starting out growing in a garden, should really try to grow, I think. What do you think?
Way more. To me, what you do is you look at what you're going to actually use. What do you like? If you could go to the most wonderful farmer's market in the world where you knew everything was organic and fresh and you got to taste things ahead of time so you knew what everything tasted like and all that kind of stuff, what would you get? Would you get cherry tomatoes? Would you get some sort of a slicer like a Mortgage Lifter, Homestead, or Comstock that's good for multiple things? Would you get some sort of aroma or San Marzano, which is a paste tomato, because you want to make sauce? A paste tomato does not mean you have to only use it for paste. No, we don't make paste, as a matter of fact.
In fact, we use some of those paste tomatoes
as slicers
for salads.
Yes.
You know, there's a topic we haven't talked about so far. Saved seeds.
Well, that's a whole nother can of worms. If you're going to save seeds, unless you know what you're doing, and I do write, there's some really good books out there on saving seeds. There's rules about saving seeds. If you don't care, if you're just one of these people who are like, I'm going to throw it in the ground, it's going to grow, it's going to be awesome, I don't care, cool. Everybody has the right to do that. It's your ground or your pot or whatever it is.
And you're the one taking care of the plant.
You're the one taking care of it, and you're going to deal with whatever comes off that plant. If you're growing something like a lettuce, you're going to know within 40 days whether you like that lettuce or not. Chances are it'll be edible. It'll just be a matter of what the exact characteristics of that plant are. Are they sweeter like you like them, or crunchier like you like them, or a smooth leaf or a crinkly leaf? But you'll know really quickly because it's a short season plant. 35, 45, 55 days for lettuce, depending on what the variety is. No problem. If you're growing something like a tomato, you raise it up to a seedling, then you plant it, then you nurture it, then it finally gets some little fruit on it, and now you still have to wait months for that fruit to ripen.
Yeah, it could be 65 to a lot longer days.
Yes. So now you've waited all this time. So 65 to 75 days plus 6 to 8 weeks beforehand to grow your plant up. And now you're going to find out what the fruit is like. I want to be sure that what I'm getting is those. I don't want to fool around with anything else because I am so happy with that.
Yeah. So that's our decision.
Yes.
We're absolutely united on this topic for us. As I said before, you can make any decision that you want.
Yes.
You just have to be prepared
to take the consequences.
Exactly. You know what time it is, Irene?
Probably time to move on. I'm sure someone will ask a question.
Ask questions.
Ask questions.
We're happy to answer.
If you really can't decide whether you're going to get rid of something or, plant it later or whatever, put it in a box that you can find and set it aside. That's okay. I mean, some of these seeds that we're getting rid of this year, we held for an extra year because we were debating. The debate's over. We've made our decision. We know what we want to grow. We have fresh seeds that are viable for the varieties that we want to grow. I'm going to order some more of some other varieties, and these are not going away until I'm certain that I have everything, all my ducks in a row. Some of the things that I would normally grow, I can't grow this year because it's not available. I'm going to be replacing them until I know that those replacement seeds are on their way, at least, if not in my hands. I'm not going to get rid of my old stuff. You know, it's one of those, I'm still hedging my bets a little bit, but I don't want junk in my house that makes me feel like I have a million seeds when I really don't.
You're the person who gets to decide what you like to eat, what your family likes to eat, and if you're growing food for your own consumption, make the decisions based on those criteria. Right. If you're growing food to give away, grow whatever you want. Right. Somebody probably will like it.
Maybe.
Somebody will like it.
Yeah. There's no accounting for personal taste, right? But, you know, we've talked about this before. It's one thing if you're a grower for a farmer's market. In that case, you grow what your market wants. I remember the guys in Canada saying they couldn't sell bok choy because nobody there knew what the heck it was. You know, so they stopped growing it because it wasn't worth it. They might grow a plant or two for their own use, but they're not going to grow a field of it. But there were things they found that they could sell all day and all night. That makes sense. That's what you're doing for a living. So if you're not doing it for a living, then just do what you and your family like, because it doesn't make sense to grow something that's yucky.
Hey friends, thanks very much for watching. This is going to be a relatively long show, but there's a lot to cover. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications, because there's a lot of plants to plant.
Yeah, and I'll be talking about individual varieties and why I've chosen them in a future video, because I promised that. So, until next time, bye.
Bye. Keep brainstorming.
Yes. Brainstorm how you're going to sort your seeds.
Just sort the seeds. You know, develop a hard heart and go through it and decide the ones you're going to keep and the ones you're going to get rid of.